So I was mindful of that in terms of, you know, how we could make the most use of our time. And when I think about what I did and what's taken place here this morning, there's a there's a correlation for me. And this morning we've been talking in part, you know, about manifesting, um, with Ian celebrating his wonderful wins. And then that process of manifesting, in that process, like we've been talking, I think, in the last few minutes about that, not a few minutes, but like 10, 15 anyway. So your thing, Jessie, about where are you inside of yourself? And then with Mona, what Mona brought in was what was going on outside of herself in reciprocity to herself. Right? When we have a relationship with someone, that's kind of what goes on. We at one point you can slice it, let's say that. You can slice it to what's going on in here, what am I intending for out there, and what gets given back to me? What do I experience from what's being given back to me? And the reason why I thought about why that came to me was with what you were saying, Jessie, when you said you don't think you love well. And I'll circle back to that. But what happened yesterday for me was I I started the session off with us just kind of closing our eyes and watching the breath. And then what came to me was to for her to focus on what was happening inside of herself, and then how the other point was to focus on the observer. So then she had these 2 points, and I did too. And then we just sat with that experience of the tension that there is between those 2 points. And then I said to her, when you're ready to let go, drop deep. And that experience for both of us was so releasing. And that what I noticed for myself was that it went from specific spot in my body, 2 spots, and then all of a sudden it was all over. My entire body electric was activated. And then it softened. And there was just this enormous, beautiful, incredible space. And the reason why I'm sharing it is because it matched so much for me what you were saying, Jessie, and what you were guiding with in terms of with Mona about the timing, right? And the essence of it was your share about when you look from one extreme to the other and you check in with yourself. Are you okay with both of those 2 points? And if you're okay with both of those 2 points, then you can settle and you can go into yourself, into all of what you are. And for me, that is alignment. when we can experience every single part of our body in one second, that is alignment. Because I don't think we can do that if we're not open enough to be vibrating, no, to be resonating, not vibrating, we do, to be resonating with the multidimensional part of ourselves. And so everything gets to meet in that neutral. And you can see so much more from that place. You can see, you can hear, and you can feel so much more from that space.
When you told that, sounds like you were aligning the body and the spirit. The observer is the spirit, the breath is the body.
Yeah.
You were ignoring the mind, but it ignores a lot of things, the mind, so no need for that.
Yes. And it's the mind chatter that goes, right? That goes away.
Yeah. So you were aligning the mind by getting it to shut up.
Yeah.
That's neutral for the mind. It's no noise.
That's right. Yeah, because then what for me what can happen then is that then what I would identify as the I, then the I is separate from the ego.
Yeah.
And it's the I that has got the potential to manage the egoic emotions. And there's a lot for me that's been said this morning that is so relevant to becoming all of what we are.
Mm.
And I'll say this about love, or about our experience of love and our perception of it. So what came up for me, Jesse, when you said that you feel at times probably that you don't love well enough. And immediately what came up for me was that the way in which we communicate our love for someone else is so often not what they can at that point in time either receive or understand. And so it's not that you don't, that we don't love well enough. It's got more to do with the communication of our loving. And that's, that's not so, it's not so easy, right? Because we all have different ways of being able to hear, see, and feel.
The static between.
Such a good description.
I think that's called the ego interfering,
That's right.
trying to
sometimes our
explain what the
ego,
heart is telling you.
sometimes our ego shows up with part-time personalities.
I think it always does, Mona. That's why I like the word static. Sorry, Mona.
You're fine. I'm sorry.
Go.
All those voices are competing for to be number one.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Sounds like an ego to me.
Isn't it good to be able to laugh about it? Sometimes it doesn't feel good being in it. In fact, it hardly ever feels good being in it.
Yeah,
I'd
we
rather
can laugh about it.
Yeah.
That's a relief.
It's it's a relief, and it's also a gateway to neutral, right?
Releasing the charge.
Yes.
Guys, I've got to head off now, but I'm gonna have to
Well,
leave you and leave you. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you,
Ian.
You have a blessed day, Ian.
You too.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank you too.
Bye-bye.
Love you.
Yeah, it's relationships. Relationships static between, and it's like I have my point, you have your point.
Mm-hmm. I love that analogy that you gave about the tack on the wall. You've got this whole blank wall or a board, and you choose one point in that whole board, and you could have all the points to review. That's why that word could is so powerful.
Mm. The word to ask the word could, and then the patience to listen for an answer.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. And also, just as you say that, I think it's also the willingness to engage with experimenting. Right? Because each answer that comes along, not all of them are going to be what works for us at that moment in time. And the more we can the more we can be in that neutral space and experiment from there. And it doesn't mean to say that we have to always be in that neutral space. I think when we go to the edges, it's also about gathering information. And it can be so useful.
So let me ask you this. You're standing there, you take one step. Did you get everything you wanted?
For me, definitely no.
Now we expect it, like we expect that, oh, I'll just take this step and oh, here I am. I haven't, I got, I'm like Ian, it's like, oh, there's my place that I wanted. You, right? It's like, oh, you manifested a new home because that one was ending. And it's like, oh, yep, just one step. Here I am. Yep. That was no big deal.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't happen that way, but that doesn't mean we don't expect it to.
I know.
And so all those steps, right? They're, the gutter bumpers, right? The bumpers in the gutter of the bowling alley, right? It's just like, oh, trying to keep us out of the gutter. Willingness with free will.
Ah.
But if you stay within the gutter, what do you learn?
Exactly.
I think that's the experimenting, right? That's the point to say it's like, oh, there's like not that step, not that step in that direction.
So I keep on coming back to that. It's for me what's been really important for me is to recognize the importance of momentum, and it doesn't, once again, it doesn't look the way that I always thought that it should look.
Well,
That
and
was a
what you'll know,
realization.
and what you'll know is like momentum is positive in every aspect we think of it. We don't think of a negative momentum.
I know.
But it does exist.
It does exist. It absolutely does. Yeah.
It's like a memory. We don't think we can have future memories.
Yes.
Why not? We call them something else. We call them intentions.
That's a nice connection, Jess.
Not the first time I made it, Allison.
I hadn't heard it before.
You may not have been on. That could have easily turned into a judger, huh? And see, we can laugh at it.
Absolutely. I have to admit that I can laugh because it's you, and it's here in the group.
This has been an awesome session today, and I need to go because I have to go to breakfast.
No, well, enjoy your breakfast and thank you for sharing it with us.
Yeah.
We were honored to have you.
Take care, Mona. Love you.
All right, you have a good afternoon and have a good day.
Yeah, thanks, Mona. Till next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When you were talking about future memories, well, it might be future memories for me because I can't remember what we really talked about yesterday. So I have a memory of us talking, but does it make it yesterday or tomorrow?
Good point.
Yes, very good point, Hans. See, I told you. What you were experiencing yesterday is part of the creative process.
Mm.
I don't remember what we talked about yesterday.
But I do remember we talked.
Yeah, I was there too.
Yeah.
But see that I think that's the point of presence. Presence isn't about remembering every detail of it. Presence is just allowing it to flush through and out and over.
Mhm.
Mm.
It's not attaching to it. It's releasing it. It's letting it out.
Mm,
That is the creation, is to let it out.
mm. Yeah.
We've just put so many conditions on what we can let out. That's BS. And that's what we practice here. We practice letting it out and seeing what it's going to do once it's out there. So from in here to out there without the fear of conditioning.
Mm,
Mm.
mm.
And if if the demonstration that is not on YouTube but is on the other recording of Mona, I feel like you need space. I didn't know what for.
Mm.
Don't know why. Didn't know if she would step into it.
Mhm.
But
And
if
it
the
didn't.
space wasn't created,
Yeah.
if the awareness wasn't honored, it would have been something else. And is that so? I say that's me loving better.
Mm,
Mm.
mm.
Trusting your intuition.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Listening to it, following
Yeah.
it, allowing it, aware of it. I don't know what other word I would call it than other than intuition that came inside me, and I, without hesitation, accept it. Now, not every time do I do it, right? There's times where it's like, not, something else maybe.
Mm. Mhm.
I'll talk my way out of it. Now, then is that part of intuition? Maybe. I don't know.
I think
Oh.
that's more an interpretation of our intuition, Jeff.
I
For
agree with
me.
it.
Yeah.
Because it always is. It's always an
Yeah.
interpretation of that.
Yeah.
And the
And I
intuition is always there. It's just if we are listening.
Exactly. And we're always filtering it. I mean, our
Yeah.
history is just to filter it because of the what we learned conditionally. Yeah, we all have intuition. It's just now the key is whether we're listening to it.
Uh, uh.
And I say most of us are not. I wasn't. I definitely wasn't. And nor can I really explain your intuition to you. That's something you have to feel for yourself, and nor can like mm, like I talk about yours, which is what people are looking for me to do, is for me to tell mine about theirs. Now, it helps in the awareness aspect of it, but people have to engage with it, just not hear the words.
Mm.
Engaging with it is I mean, you could think of it as scary, as weird, as um, uncomfortable, um, uh, because it all goes against what we think is right.
Mm.
Those are just conditional filters.
Yeah, very much so.
And that's the key of the awareness is, oh, what conditional filters am I putting on it?
Mm, mm.
The funny thing, the more we think about that, the more filters comes on it.
It does, yes.
That's called awareness, Heinz. Awareness of filters. I love doing this work.
Yeah.
It's like going on a
opens up.
treasure hunt.
Yeah, it's opening up a bunch of new possibilities and a hell of a lot of perspective.
Exactly.
It is the internal treasure hunt for a treasure you'll never see.
It depends. Hey,
Yeah, I
James.
know. It's wrong how I said it. I got it, Allison. Just let me get it out. Jesus, I knew as soon as I said it, I was cornered.
You'll see it if you manifest it.
You're right, Allison. You are
Yes,
right. You are
that's what
right.
that's exactly what I was laughing about.
Yeah, I know.
My apologies.
Accepted. Thank you. And forgiven.
Thank you. The brain never stops.
Yeah.
Putting up boundaries and conditionings.
Mhm. Boundaries, conditions, filters.
Because it has to be right.
And you think of all those things, it's like that's resistance. Those things
Yes.
are just resistant. It's what is resistance? Resistance, resisting momentum. It's filtering the momentum.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if momentum has a already quote baked in positive to it, we use it. We leverage that positivity of momentum.
Yeah. You know what I keep on coming back to this week so much? I mean, I've probably, since I started getting better, but still my body is so fatigued. And I get frustrated with that. And so I keep on going back to this one talk, Heinz, Jesse knows it. It was a talk on AI. I really want to find it again. And the guy that spoke about it was, I really resonated so much with his whole way of being. And what he described was that the way in which he wanted people to recognize how they need to work with it is like when he, with his children, when he puts a chick, a baby chicken into their hands, and he explains to them they mustn't hold it too tight and they mustn't hold their hands out too loose. Because if it's too loose, it will fall. And if it's too tight, the chick could get hurt. And I that analogy for me, that you do that with life.
Mm.
For me, that the chick represented life. It's fragile, but it's complex, and it's incredible, and it has its own inner engine and impetus. You know how fast chicks grow. They, like, within a week they look completely different.
Mhm.
And I keep on coming back to that because in many ways that position of our hand, to get it just at the right pace and to keep on adjusting it, for me, that's what we can do very effectively in neutral.
Mm.
Neutral's not a static place. It's very dynamic. And it's interesting for me when I think about that, because I think, when I have the experience of peace, everything seems so quiet and still. But it's much more dynamic than being on the edges of whatever it is that I, have to deal with.
Well, it's a great thing you said about going to neutral to adjust. That's what you do with a with a car with a stick drive. You need to go to neutral to adjust if you want to go higher or lower in gear.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So in neutral is where we can adjust.
Yeah.
Been a great morning. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Jess.
One of our better. Huh?
Yeah. Lots of laughing.
Yeah.
Better
All
and better.
breakthrough.
Yeah. Thank you, Heinz. Have a great day.
You both have a blessed day.
Thank
Love and
you.
hugs.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.